All right, hey, shalom, shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who do rule well and who have taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the elect out there, scattered wherever you may be. May Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash bless you and your household. Also, shalom to you, Akim, on the highways and byways, week in and week out, as Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai commanded us to do. May Yahweh Bahashem Shai also bless you and your household. All right, it is your brother Debakia from the Sons of Yasharallah, GMS Colorado Springs Camp. All right, back at it again with another live lesson, and I pray that you're edified and exhorted, because that's what this is about: edification and exhortation. All right, you see the title of today's lesson: Spirit, the Rakah Kodash hopped on me. I had this lesson planned a few days back, but one thing led after another. But nonetheless, we have to get these lessons and these epistles done, okay, to feed the sheep. All right, but anyway, yeah, the title of this lesson is Jesus Christ, right? The Edomite will not save you in these last days. I'm going to say it again. Jesus Christ, the Edomite, will not save you in these last days. All right, we're going to go into the book of 1 Kings chapter 18, where we meet Elijah, okay? He goes to meet Ahab, all right? And this is going to be used as an example of what's currently happening in today's time. Let's go ahead and get it. This is the book of 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 1. The contest on Mount Carmel. Okay, there was a contest on this mountain. All right, between an Israelite man and Gentiles, right? Which in this case I'm referring to Jake being a Gentile because of their state of mind at the time, being heathenistic, okay, following the ways of the heathen, all right? So they're Israelites by birth, but they were going off, right? Here it is. 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 1 in the NLT. Later on in the third year of the drought, the Lord Yahweh, whenever you see Lord in the scriptures, it's referring to Yahweh, said to Elijah, go and present yourself to King Ahab. Tell him that I will soon send rain. All right. So Elijah went to appear before Ahab. Meanwhile, the famine had become very severe in Samaria. All right. So Ahab summoned Obadiah, who was in charge of the palace. Right. Back then, it wasn't unusual for kings to call on the prophets, for their answers and just for their purposes, because, people, especially Israelites back then, knew that the Lord was dealing with the prophets, okay? And he was dealing with the tribe of Judah heavy at this time, which are you so-called Negroes, right? So-called blacks. All right. So Ahab summoned Obadiah, who was in charge of the palace. Right here, parentheses. Obadiah was a devoted follower of the Lord Yahweh. We got to be devoted in this thing, right? As well. Go look that word up. Verse 4. Once when Jezebel had tried to kill off, once when Jezebel, right, who was a wicked ass woman, I guess. Once when Jezebel had tried to kill all the Lord's Yahweh's prophets. All right, Jezebel at the time, this is who was in rulership when Elijah the prophet was on earth, and King Ahab, Obadiah, and so forth. All right, which is a wicked ass Eve, which is where you get that terminology, Jezebel's spirit. All right, wicked ass women. Right here, had tried to kill all the Lord's prophets. Obadiah had hidden 100 of them in 2 caves. Right? The Spirit was on Obadiah at the time to hide these men of the Lord, to preserve this word. All right, this word has to come out regardless. And how is this word coming out? Through the Lord's mouthpiece, which are the prophets, beginning with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone on down, and the bishops. All right. Obadiah had hidden 100 of them in 2 caves. He put 50 prophets in each cave and supplied them with food and water. All right. That's beautiful. Verse 5. Ahab said to Obadiah, "We must check every spring and valley in the land to see if we can find grass to save at least some of my horses and mules." Okay. So, verse 6. So they divided the land between them. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. Verse 7. As Obadiah was walking along, he suddenly saw Elijah coming toward him. Right? Obadiah recognized him at once and bowed low to the ground before him, asking, "Is it really you, my lord Elijah?" he asked. Verse 8. "Yes, it is," Elijah replied. "Now, go and tell your master Elijah is here." Verse 9. "Oh, sir," Obadiah protested, "what harm have I done to you that you are sending me to my death at the hands of Ahab?" Right? That's because Obadiah knew that, right, the prophets come with doom and gloom. Okay? You dumbass Christians can't accept that. We don't give a shit if you can accept that. You Muslims don't want to accept that. And so forth. We don't care. Look, we're not coming with a positive message. The positive message that we have is for the elect. All right? That doom and gloom is for the rest of you, starting with you 2/3 of the nation of the house of Israel. Right? And then you Edomites, right? You Elamites, all you heathen nations as well. Okay? That's what the doom and gloom is for, because you don't want to get right in these last days. Verse 9 again. "Oh, sir," Obadiah protested, "what harm have I done to you that you are sending me to my death at the hands of Ahab? For I swear by the Lord Yahweh, your power, that the king has searched every nation and kingdom on earth from end to end to find you. And each time he was told, Elijah isn't here." King Ahab forced the king of that nation to swear to the truth of his claim. All right, he was looking for Obadiah to put him to death, okay, because he had a wicked ass spirit on him at the time. Just like 2/3 of you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans want to put the prophets to death. But Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is not going to allow that in this generation. Yahweh Ratazah. All right, the prophets are here to stay, Lord's will. 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 11. "And now you say, go and tell your master Elijah is here." So he was just kind of confused, because he was like, why is Elijah tempting King Ahab to put me to death? 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 12. But as soon as I leave you, the Spirit of the Lord Yahweh will carry you away to who knows where, because he's used to Elijah skating out. When Ahab comes and cannot find you, he will kill me. Okay? Yet I have been a true servant of the Lord Yahweh all my life. Obadiah was a prophet. He was an Israelite as well. Okay? And as you can see, that word Lord, once again, is capitalized. Yahweh. Obadiah knew the names. Right? You camps out there playing with the names. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is not dealing with you. You cats out there playing with the names. Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai is also not dealing with you. All right? You stupid, silly women who don't want to deal with the names. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is also not dealing with you. Okay? These names are given to the elect. That's all it is. You're going to call on these names if you trust in Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Okay? We can prove that these are the names. elders, the elders of Great Millstone, starting with Apostle Tahar, have hundreds of videos on the internet going into what Yahweh means, right? You got to study to show yourself approved. He will, all right, verse, my bad, I got sidetracked there. When Ahab comes and cannot find you, he will kill me. Yet I have been a true servant of the Lord Yahweh all my life, right? 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 13. Has no one told you, my Lord, about the time when Jezebel was trying to kill the Lord Yahweh's prophets? I hid 100 of them in 2 caves and supplied them with food and water. Wow. Verse 14. And now you say, go and tell your master, Elijah is here. Sir, if I do that, Ahab will certainly kill me. All right. He wasn't Obadiah wasn't too brave at the moment. Well, watch how Elijah responds. But Elijah said, I swear by the Lord Yahweh Almighty, in whose presence I stand, that I will present myself to Ahab this very day. Okay. The spirit was on Elijah, all right? And Elijah had one of the most beautiful spirits actually in the scriptures. In fact, I believe Elder Abba Bivens is Elijah. Yep. In the regeneration, in the reincarnation. Yep. I'm surprised I didn't bring that out earlier. Elder Abba Bivens is Elijah. Yep. Through the spirit, through his spirit. And he came back in this generation to deliver this truth unto us. That's just how merciful Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is, because reincarnation and regeneration is biblical. This is what your pastor Porkchop's not going to tell you, okay? But verse 8:15 again. But Elisha said, I swear by the Lord Yahweh Almighty, in whose presence I stand, that I will present myself to Ahab this very day. 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 16. So Obadiah went to tell Ahab that Elijah had come, and Ahab went out to meet Elijah. Okay, here we go. When Ahab saw him, he exclaimed, so it really is you, troublemaker of Israel. That's exactly what 2/3 thinks of us when we're on those highways and byways, when we're teaching, when we're doing our epistles, when we stand for righteousness. Right? They think that we're troublemakers because this word has reached all 4 corners of the earth. Okay, folks is just mad because that plantation Christianity is done and it's buried beneath the dirt. Okay, you Christians don't want no smoke. You don't even know the scriptures. Straight up. Sat here and played with Yahweh Bashem Yahushua's word for centuries. Okay. All right. If you're into that Christian religion, that Christian vomit, you need to come out of that and repent and call on the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, the true names of the Lord and his begotten Son. All right. So it really is you, troublemaker of Israel. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 18. I have made no trouble for Israel, Elijah replied. You and your family are the troublemakers, for you have refused to obey the commands of the Lord Yahweh and have worshipped the images of Baal instead. All right. This is where Baal, or Baal, comes into the story. Okay. We're going to talk about Baal real fast. I got time today. This is exactly how he would look according to the scriptures. Okay. Israelite men and women were sacrificing their children to this false deity, to this false god. Okay, your modern day version of, they still worship this damn demon. Okay, this is a demonic spirit. Right? This is a demonic entity. Okay, that they worship. Right, starting with the elite, starting with the Rothschilds, starting with the Rockefellers, the Gettys, the Oppenheimers, the DuPonts, and so forth. Okay, the Amalekite bankers. All right, you're exposed now. Okay, there's nothing you can do about it, you small hats. Nonetheless, this is what, let's read about this damn demon. In the Bible, Baal primarily represented a false god of 10 associated with fertility, all right? Uh, just nasty shit that women go through, okay, with their bodies. Weather and the Canaanite uh, pantheon, the Israelites who were monotheistic viewed Baal as a rival to their own god. That's not his name. And his worship was often condemned. Baal was seen as a threat to the Israelites' faith and a relationship to Yahweh. So Baal or Baal, he's always been there, and he's back now, all right, through JC, through Caesar Borgia. Okay, that's the same spirit, that's the same demon that damn Edomite Caesar Borgia has. Okay, that's the same spirit that you Jakes are in nowadays. All right, verse 19. 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 19. So now we know who Baal is, or Baal. Now summon all Israel to join me at Mount Carmel, along with 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah who are supported by Jezebel. Oh. So, look, man, Elijah went up against all these false prophets at the time by himself. But he wasn't by himself. He was with Yahweh Shai Shai was with him. Now summon all Israel to join me at Mount Carmel, along with the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah, who are supported by Jezebel. Verse 20. So Ahab summoned all the people of Israel and the prophets to Mount Carmel. Okay. Then Elijah stood in front of them and said, "How much longer will you waver, hobbling between two opinions?" That's what you Jakes are in. You 2/3. You're in two opinions. All right. If the Lord Yahweh is power, whenever you see God capitalized in the Bible, that is short. That is a translation to power. Okay. Follow him. All right. Let's get that verse again. How much longer? Then Elijah stood in front of them and said, "How much longer will you waver, hobbling between two opinions? If the Lord Yahweh is power, follow him. But if Baal is power, is God, okay, follow him." But the people were completely silent because he confounded them. You motherfuckers out there, you 2/3, you wicked women, you Edomites, you heathens, you Hamites, can't do nothing, okay, against the word of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Verse 22. Then Elijah said to them, "I am the only prophet of the Lord Yahweh who is left." All right, he had boldness, right? But Baal has 450 prophets. Here we go. Now bring 2 bulls, okay? The prophets of Baal may choose whichever one they wish and cut it into pieces and lay it on the wood of their altar, but without setting fire to it. I will prepare the other bull and lay it on the wood on the altar, but not set fire to it. Then call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of the Lord Yahweh. Okay, we can get through anything in this life with those powerful names of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Look at that, it's 555. Call Lord Yahweh Shai. I'm a screenshot. All right, then. Verse 24 again. Then call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of the Lord Yahweh. All right. The God who answers by setting fire to the wood is a true power. And all the people agreed. So here, the battle is about to start. 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 25. Then Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, "You go first, for there are many of you. Choose one of the bulls and prepare it, and call on the name of your God. But do not set fire to the wood." Verse 26. So they prepared one of the bulls and placed it on the altar. Then they called on the name of Baal from morning until noontime, shouting, "Oh, Baal, answer us." That's what they're shouting, okay? Bugged out Jakes. shouting to this false deity. Is that not what's happening in today's generation? Bugged out Jakes calling on JC, okay? Jeebus Christ, the Edomite, all right? He does not exist. He's not going to save you, Jakes. And if you keep playing, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is going to put you to death through his death angels. All right, there's a lot of death right now on earth. Mass judgment is pouring out. First Kings chapter 18 and verse 26. So they prepared one of the bulls and placed it on the altar. Then they called on the name of Baal from morning until noontime, shouting, "Oh, Baal, answer us." But there was no reply of any kind, okay, because he doesn't exist. It's fake, okay. You Israelites are deceived by your own vain opinion, and Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai has completely bugged you out. All right, to worship JC and Edomite, all right, with long hair. You see how this is simultaneous with today's generation? Look up that word simultaneous. Okay? Nothing new under the sun. All right, modern day Baal is JC. And any other God that these Israelites, that you 2/3 are worshiping, they have no power in them. And Yahweh Shai is fed up and tired of the madness. But there was no reply of any kind. Watch this. Then they danced, hobbling around the altar they had made. Bug the fuck out. That's what you see in Christian churches these days. Fat, big Shirley, right? Keisha in there, going crazy, having the Holy Ghost on them. That's a fucking demon, okay? You have a demon on you through Jesus Christ, the Edomite. That's not of the Lord to be in that type of mind frame, all right? You Christians are completely gone. And Yahweh Bashim Hashai is going to destroy you lest you repent. Hobbling around the altar they had made. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 27. About noontime, Elijah began mocking them. That's what we're doing. That's what the prophets are doing right now. We're mocking you 2/3. We want Yahweh Bashim Hashai to kill you. We want Yahweh Bashim Hashai to destroy you. We want Yahweh Bashim Hashai to put you beneath the ground. We want Yahweh Bashim Hashai to bring plagues to your mind. We want Yahweh Bashim Hashai to completely annihilate you, okay? Because you're not taking heed to this gospel and you think this is a joke. All right. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 27 again. About noontime, Elijah began mocking them. You'll have to shout louder, he scoffed. Okay. We don't take you niggas who worship JC seriously. You're a demon. You Christians are fucking demons. All right? We don't care about you. We don't want to debate with you niggas. And you Israelites out there calling on the wrong names, okay? You're demonic too. You're demonic. Let's just call it what it is. All right? We can put you all in one big bowl. All right, about noontime, Elijah began mocking him. You'll have to shout louder, he scoffed, for surely he is a god. JC is a god, right? El to the na la'ah. Perhaps he is daydreaming or is relieving himself, or maybe he is away on a trip or is asleep and needs to be waking. Verse 28. 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 28. So they shouted louder, all right, following their normal custom. They cut themselves with knives and swords until the blood gushed out. Just bug the hell out. All right, if you go into the history of Baal or Baal, you'll see that he's a bloodthirsty demon, all right? A bloodthirsty demon. And that's who you Israelites, you women, all right, were sacrificing your babies to because you thought that was the power at the time, and which you still do behind closed doors. All right, and that Canaanite stuff goes back to the Hamite. customs. All right, and Hamites are you so-called Africans, so it does begin with you. All right, you real Africans, as they say. All right. Verse 29, they raved all afternoon until the time of the evening. Sacrifice, but there was no sound, no reply, no response. JC's giving you no sound, no reply, no response. Okay, I'll say that again. No reply. Wait, no sound, no reply, no response. These false gods are giving you no sound, no reply, no response. These false prophets, all right? Pastor Porkchop is giving you no sound, no reply, no response. But guess who is answering us? Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 30. Then Elijah called to the people, come over here. They all crowded around him as he repaired the altar of the Lord Yahweh that had been torn down. Okay? Verse 31. He took 12 stones, one to represent each of the tribes of Israel. More proof that Yahweh Shai is only representing the nation of Israel. Not you Edomites, you Hamites, you Elamites, you Ishmaelites, you Ammonites, you Moabites. Just you Israelites. That's who Yahweh Shai is dealing with. The prophets of old knew that. And guess what? The prophets of old are back. 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 32. And he used the stones to rebuild the altar in the name of the Lord Yahweh. Right? The name. That's what we have to, that's the key thing here. The name. The names, rather. Very important in this thing of ours. In the name of the Lord Yahweh. Then he dug a trench around the altar large enough to hold about 3 gallons. He did all this himself, but the Spirit was on him. Then he said, verse 33, he piled wood on the altar, cut the bull into pieces, and laid the pieces on the wood. Then he said, fill 4 large jars with water and pour the water over the offering and the wood. Verse 34. After they had done this, he said, do the same thing again. And when they were finished, he said, now do it a 3rd time. So they did as he said, and the water ran around the altar and even filled the trench. All right. You 12 tribes of Israel, going back to the, going back to verse 31, where he took 12 stones, because we are 12. We are all 12 lively stones. Scriptures say we are lively stones. All right. I think, yep, that's in the New Testament. I'd go get it, but I'd lose train of thought. I'm trying to focus on the story here. Nonetheless, look up lively stones. Okay? And 12 tribes of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and so forth. All right, the real Israelites. 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 36. At the usual time for offering the evening sacrifice, Elijah the prophet walked up to the altar and prayed, O Lord Yahweh, power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, prove today that you are power in Israel, that I am your servant. Prove that I have done all this at your command. That is a heavy prayer to pray, okay? We want Yahweh Shemashah to prove that we are the prophets, okay? Let's get that verse again. At the usual time for offering the evening sacrifice, Elijah the prophet walked up to the altar and prayed, O Lord Yahweh, power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, prove today that you are power in Israel and that I am your servant. Prove that I have done all this at your command. We are prophesying. I am giving you this message at the will of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Not me. This is not me doing this. It's none of us. All right. None of us in Great Millstone are just for the elect's sake are doing this. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is on men in the earth to preach this word. Okay. It is a spiritual thing. All right. And that's what you 2/3 don't understand. We didn't choose to come into this truth. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai pulled us into this truth. Do you dig me? 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 37. O Lord, answer me. Answer me so these people, O Lord Yahweh, answer me. Answer me so these people will know that you, O Lord Yahweh, are power and that you have brought them back to yourself. All right, if you come into this truth and you're waking up, we have a lot of new people coming in. All right, Yahweh Shai, he's bringing you back to himself through his son. All right, that's a Yapah thing. Yapah meaning beautiful in Hebrew, in the Paleo Hebrew. All right, it's good to know these words as well. All right, Yahweh Shai is bringing these Israelites, these Jakes back to himself. All right. And we're fortunate enough to be a part of it, man. Just got to meditate on that. 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 38. Immediately the fire of the Lord Yahweh flashed down from heaven and burned up the young bull, the wood, the stones, and the dust. That's how powerful those names are. It even licked up all the water in the trench. Strike that damn place so fast with lightning. Yeah, that's the power we worship, man. Call Halayim La Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And when all the people saw it, they fell face down on the ground and cried out, the Lord Yahweh, he is power. Yes, the Lord Yahweh is power. You people are going to confess the names of Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai before it's all said and done. Because those are the only names that are going to protect you in these last days. All right, not JC, not Jebus Christ, not Jebus Christ the Edomite. You can't call on Jebus Christ the Edomite. He hasn't done anything. Jebus Christ the Edomite still wants you Jakes to believe you're black. You're not. You're a different shade of brown. Right? That myrrh is smelling good. 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 40. We're almost done. Then Elijah commanded, seize all the prophets of Baal or Baal. Don't let a single one escape. So he was like, let's put them to death. So the people seized them all, and Elijah took them down to Kishon Valley and killed them there. Right? There wasn't nothing sweet about Elijah. He was straight to business with Yahweh Shai's work. All right? You false prophets, you niggas calling on these false gods, we don't care if you DIE. All right? I'm going to say it straight like that. We can probably stop there. Let me see, though. Yeah, we can stop there. I'll go into probably that part a little later. But nonetheless, I pray that you were edified. I'm going to close this one out by saying, Call Halal Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakah Kodash Shalom.